So, I've got something to say. Instagram sucks. Sucks, sucks, sucks. Instagram sucks. Yes, Paul was right at the beginning. Instagram sucks. Instagram itself doesn't suck. Let's get that straight. It does have valuable things. It has positives, a lot of positives actually. It's a great networking tool. I've met dozens of photographer friends I've collabed with. Great people, and it really does inspire you. All the great photos you see, all the great work out there, all like-minded artists, like yourself. But the negatives, I think, far outweigh the positives. It's hard. So what I'm going to do is lay out 4 reasons why I'm quitting Instagram. Now let's get this straight. When I say quitting Instagram, I don't mean I'm completely deleting my account, I'm deleting all my photos, disowning all my posts, nothing like that. I don't mean I'm quitting Instagram. What I mean by quitting is that I'm basically going to tone it down to pretty much nothing. There are so many more creative outlets out there that don't have disastrous effects on your psyche, on just your overall workflow, how you market yourself. So let's take a look at those 4 things that why the Instagram algorithm sucks. One of the biggest reasons why I've chosen to quit Instagram is self-worth. This is a huge one. Think about this scenario when you first started out with photography. This is what's happened to me, rather. I don't know about you guys. Message below. Let me know if this has happened to you. As a beginning photographer, you're just so inspired. I mean, you are just pumped up. You're ready to go. You pull that shutter button, whatever you see, even if it's a crappy composition, you pull that shutter button. You're just so inspired that, you want to just shoot the whole world. Well, the problem is when you get home, as a beginning photographer, your shots really aren't as good as you thought they were in the field. And that's because you don't have experience yet. You're working on that. You're building that experience. Instagram, when you look at an Instagram feed, you see nothing but perfect work. I mean, this work is stunning sometimes. Sometimes it's really obviously composited, really horribly looking. Obviously, they're all edited. We all edit. But here's the problem with this. As a beginning photographer, that's all you see is perfect work. Instagram is an altered reality. It's not real. What you see, the photos you see, technically are not real. They're perfectly edited. They're absolutely gorgeous. But it's not real. It's perfect work. And suddenly you start to strive for that perfection. You start to see, well, my photos have to be perfect. They have to be that good all the time. And it puts unnecessary stress on your psyche. It really does. It's happened to me before. I've seen beautiful work out there. And sometimes my work comes back. There's a particular shot I like. It could be better. But then I see someone's other work at the same location and I'm just blown away. And all of a sudden I'm like, well, crap. I want to throw my camera away now. And there's nothing wrong with sometimes feeling a little self-conscious about it. But the problem is it can be very consuming, especially for someone just starting out in photography. If you're trying to become a professional, like making a full-fledged living off of photography, then you really have a lot of stress on your shoulders. Your work has to be perfect. If it's not perfect, it won't be seen by influencers. It won't be shared. So much stress is put on you that you start to compare yourself to other people. And that, in my opinion, is the most dangerous thing you can do to yourself, is compare yourself to this person or to this person. You start to say, well, my work isn't as good as this person, so what's the point? And then you just become really depressed, really anxious. And then you just put so much mental stress on yourself because Instagram is not perfect. You're striving for perfection. And me personally, I can't gain perfection. And as far as I know, I don't know anyone who can gain perfection. The other reason why I've chosen to quit Instagram is engagement. And this is probably one of, if not the biggest reason why that I'm quitting Instagram. Because think about this scenario. You have a beautiful picture and you've worked damn hard for this picture. You're proud of it and you post it thinking you're going to get a gazillion likes and a gazillion comments on it. But you get a tiny little amount. And all of a sudden you start to feel like, what the hell's wrong with my picture? What the hell? Like, I'm going to give you this scenario here. I took this picture here about, a year ago. I worked really hard for this shot. Fortunately, I was lucky and I got some of those conditions that you wish for every time. I mean, the light was perfect. I didn't even research anything. The light was perfect. The composition was perfect. There was no crowds there. I had it all to myself. It was a magical experience. I mean, just magical. And I really put all my heart and soul into this photograph. And I went home, edited it to my heart's content. A lot of effort went into it. And I thought, to this day, I still think it is an awesome photograph. Just breathtaking. And I posted it right at the peak time when my audience was on. I researched and looked at when my audience was on most, picked that time, posted it, came back a day later, and those heart icons just weren't as much as I thought they were. And I'm thinking to myself, what? Really? What the hell's wrong with me? What is wrong with this picture? This is a awesome fucking picture. Like, I was pissed. Like, what is going on here? And I started thinking to myself, well, what the hell's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with me. It's the algorithm. And what they have done, Zuckerberg and his guys have just wrenched that algorithm as tight as they possibly can. And they still do to this day. The algorithm decides how many eyeballs get to see your work, how many people it reaches. And to me, this is unfair as a photographer. As someone who works really hard for his content, I go to just these beautiful locations, to show you work. As much as I can, I put all my heart and soul into these shots. And for a computer to decide how many eyeballs it reaches is really ludicrous. It's really ridiculous. It's almost comical. So essentially the algorithm decides how many eyeballs see your work, how much engagement, how much reach your photo gets. So essentially, your success as a photographer is dependent on a computer. Here's the problem with that. Instagram, Zuckerberg and his guys at Facebook, doesn't know you. It doesn't know how good your work is. It doesn't know how hard you work to grab your photography. It doesn't know your passion. It doesn't know your backstory, your history. It doesn't know the crap you go through to get your pictures. It doesn't know you as a photographer. So for it to decide how many eyeballs it reaches is almost insulting. It really is insulting. I worked so hard for my imagery that to have a computer decide how many eyeballs it reaches is comical. It really is comical. Essentially, you are relying on a computer. So if you're using Instagram, essentially the success of your photography is based on two things. Comment below, let me know if I'm wrong. The first one is how often you're online and how often do you use the platform. So it kind of goes a little bit like this. So Stanley Paul Photo, you haven't been on in 2 days. You must not be that important. So I'm going to rank you down low. Here's the problem with that. It doesn't know how hard I worked on my photography. It doesn't know me. It doesn't know my backstory. It doesn't know my life. It doesn't know how passionate I am. It doesn't know how hard I work to get my photography. It only knows code. And Zuckerberg and his guys and the algorithm thinks it knows you better than you know yourself. That's insulting in my opinion, and that for the big reason why your entire success is dependent on that algorithm. If that's all you use is Instagram to market yourself, you've got to be on there every waking second of your life, or you've got to have some pretty damn good hacks to fool that algorithm, which they're changing every single day. That algorithm is always changing. You think you understand it, but it turns out we never freaking understand it. So to me, in my opinion, as a photographer, to rely on Instagram's algorithm, who knows only code, is a huge, huge detriment to your success. And the number one reason why I've chosen to stop Instagram is forced creativity. Think about this scenario. You haven't been on in a few days. You've been out living life. You've been out taking pictures, leading people out, having a life, having dinner with your wife and 9-month-old. You don't have any new work to post. You don't really have anything to say. But I've got to post something. I've got to. I'm going to lose followers if I don't post something. It has to be every single day at this time. So you go in your backlog and you find a post. It's not your best work. It's not even it's just work. It's not even good. It's just something to post. You post to post. Just so you don't lose those followers. Just so you can show the algorithm that, hey, I'm alive, I'm a human being, I exist. Just so you don't fall back into its backlog of numbers. This is not fair to yourself. This is cutting yourself short as an artist. This is insulting to yourself, in my opinion. And I have never, ever felt creative when I was forced. Creativity, in my opinion, can't be forced. It happens. You're inspired and it happens. And that's when your best creativity emerges. So to force creativity on us artists as photographers is balls. It's absolutely ridiculous. And this is something that I refuse to do as a photographer. I cannot be forced. It has to come natural. And I don't think I'm alone in the matter either, and that I think everyone has done it. I've done it many times. I don't have anything really good to post. I'll just do it. I don't, I've got to do it every Monday. Got to do it every Wednesday. I have to do it. You don't have to do shit. You don't have to do anything. The algorithm wants you to think that you have to do this to be successful. When then it falls back on your lack of engagement, then it falls back on your self-worth. These are all things that circle back and provide unnecessary stress on your life as a photographer. It provides unnecessary stress on you. These are all unnecessary stresses that, for me personally, I worked really hard to write my posts weeks in advance, to curate a perfect feed. And to see my lack of engagement happening is really insulting. And then to post a post with creative vision is, again, cutting myself short. And the appeal is so there because everyone uses their phone. It's such an accessible platform, which is why it's such a shame, because it's got so much potential that if it wasn't run by an algorithm, it could be golden. I mean, just magical if it happened. But it doesn't. It's run by a computer, which really alters the ball game. So there's other more creative outlets out there. You just have to be a little bit creative, think outside the box. Think about how to market yourself in a unique way as a photographer and not be subject to Instagram's algorithm, subject to a computer deciding your fate as a photographer. All the time and money and energy I've wasted on Instagram, it could be better spent elsewhere. It just provides unnecessary stress on myself and my family. And that's the big reason why I've decided to quit Instagram. So I'm going to focus a lot of my efforts here on YouTube. I have 3 books in the making. They're all hard copies, ready to be made, ready to go. They've just been put on the back burner because Instagram has been number one priority for 2 to 3 years. No longer. So I have other outlets that I'm going to be reaching out for. But let me know if any of these have pertained to you. So, in this magical forest, I got really lucky with the weather today. So in this magical forest, thanks for watching my whole coming to fruition thing on Instagram, and I will see you cool cats later. Bye-bye.